Greetings, my friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Real Talk Show with Dr. G.R.I.T. I'm so happy to be your guest tonight. I'm here in Eastern Standard Time. I'm so glad you guys have been able to join me. I'm over here in Florida. It has been absolutely hot, scorching. Temperatures have been in the 90s for sure. We're hoping for rain in the next few days, and hopefully it'll bring some breeze. But I hope that you guys are having an okay day. I know that our country is grieving right now some of the um, catastrophes that have taken place regarding school shootings. I know that parents are also winding up the end of the year, along with teachers and leaders, administrators, superintendents. We finished out a year. Let's be prayerful that the rest of the school year can go peacefully and that there aren't any other tragic moments. My heart goes out to those that have suffered in those tragedies, the babies that were lost, the parents that are grieving. I could not imagine going through that type of grief. And I think that everyone in this time is doing their best to be sensitive and supportive to the victims and to the families, and seeing how we can all heal and move forward. And we'll probably talk a little bit about that on the show, but I know as an educator, my heart is definitely centered around that moment right now. So, but I'm going to have some wonderful things to talk about on the show today. So as a transition, I first want to start out with just giving you guys some reminders. First off, the Real Talk Show, it will be aired on the radio station SoulNet WKDH every Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to Eastern or to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you visit www.soulnetwkdh to tune in. Thank you, Ken, for that opportunity. Also, the Real Talk Show will also be aired on Swain Girl Media Channel, and you can also find it on Apple Tunes through Precious Swain's networks and connections. Thank you, Precious, for this a wonderful opportunity. You can see it on Fire Stick. She'll have other deets for you as well. Please follow me on social media. I love a good following, and I like to interact with people, especially Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, YouTube as well. And so here are some of my links for you guys. So for Facebook, it's Miss India White. That's MSINDIAWHITE all together. LinkedIn, it's The India White, THEINDIAWHITE. Twitter is Indie Speak and Teach. That's INDISP as in Paul, EAK, the letter N and the word teach. Twitter is Indie238. And, I apologize. I just said Twitter. Instagram is actually Indie238. That's INDI238. And my YouTube channel is India White 123. That is INDIAWHITE 123. So with that said, I'm hoping to see that you guys will follow me. Also go to my website to figure out blogs. If you wanted to request me for a event, if you want a speaker or someone to help you MC an event, or if you want to, do some things with some book projects and things like that, I would be honored to join you in helping you fulfill your dreams. Now, with that said, I was honored to be a part of a wonderful book collaboration, which led me to being a part of a phenomenal opportunity, which was called the Actions Speaks Volume Summit. And when I met the founder of this, the CEO, I couldn't help but just think of how awesome this person was, and how much they've contributed to society, in just the hard work ethic. And so I wanted to take a moment and honor this person who is in their own right an author, an international best-selling author, an entrepreneur. They're a motivational speaker, counselor. They've done so many great things right there in Arkansas. And so with that said, I am honored to bring on the show tonight the one and only Dr. Onika Shirley. So thank you so much, Dr. Shirley, for joining us.
Yes, thank you. Such a pleasure to be here.
Yes, it is an honor. So, Dr. Onika, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. Thank you so much for asking again. Super excited to be here on tonight. My name is Dr. Onika Shirley. I am the founder and CEO of Action Speaks Volume Incorporated, and I'm known as your procrastination strategist, your behavior change expert, where I help individuals to stop procrastinating, build unshakable confidence, and to get their dreams out of their head into their life.
Wow. I love that. And especially because in our society, there I know people can tend to procrastinate so much that um your services are, I'm telling you, inevitable and they're needed. So tell me who what inspired you to get involved in this field of, you know what, I need to help people. Like, how did you know that was a skill set that you had?
Absolutely. So I think I had a car wreck at the age of 19. Actually had two car wrecks almost 4 months apart. 12th grade year of high school, where I only attended high school 2 out of 4 9 weeks. So I only attended the first and third and was out the complete second and complete fourth 9 weeks. And so,
Wow.
that could have been horrible, because you wait for graduation and prom, and I didn't attend neither of those. But through that journey of healing, and as I began to see, as I walked on crutches for a year, and I began to see people that was able to move and wasn't moving, and I wanted to move and wasn't physically
Mm,
able to move,
wow.
being on crutches for a year, and with all the other things that went along with those two car wrecks. And so, to fast forward just a little bit, how I got into the work that I'm doing is when I saw that even with my disability, because at one point I was on SSI disability, with my disability, I had the drive and the desire to still move. And at that
Wow.
early 20s, I could have sat and waited on an SSI disability check every month, but I knew that what I was seeing was not what I saw. And with me overcoming that physical tragedy, I figured that I would be a help to many in the world to know that anything is possible despite the odds against you. And then the second part that got me into business is I was a woman working in manufacturing, and I still work in the manufacturing industry. Been in the manufacturing industry for 15 years and worked my way up to senior management. And that's a place where manufacturing is seen as a man's world. And so, seeing where individuals didn't think that it was possible, it kind of put me in the line of work that I do, because I was the one encouraging people to, think bigger, to dream bigger, and to expect to be able to do more than they had ever seen or imagined. So that was kind of the start of the work with me, just being in leadership, being in senior management, and inspiring individuals to do more than they had ever done before. So that kind of put me in line in the work that I do today.
Well, I commend you. This is absolutely phenomenal. My only question is, so you spoke about how even with your disability, you were able to still get up and move, and you saw people that couldn't. But sometimes I think people are going through different things, different discouragements, different invisible barriers. And so they feel like, well, why even try? If I have this barrier or I have this hindrance. And so, how were you able to kind of like cultivate a mindset of determination and just going strong and grit and all those things, even with your situation? And what advice would you also give to people that would be struggling with that?
That's a great question. Life is a choice. And I mean, things happen that we do not ask to happen to us. And, sometimes we are the cause of the things that happen to our life because it's the decisions that we make. So, for speaking from a broad perspective on those things that we know that we're contributing to, and to those things that we have no control of, we have to make a decision. One of my favorite quotes is by Charles Swindoll, and he said that life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% how you respond. So I asked myself, how am I going to respond to the things that's happening to me in life? Sometimes we would take those tragic things, we would take those disappointments, we would take those circumstances and situations, and what we would do would feel sorry for ourselves. What we would do and we'll ask questions on why me? So one of the things that I did, instead of asking myself those questions, I didn't worry about what I lost. because at the time I lost my ability to move. I lost the ability to do certain things on my own for a long while, because again, I was in the hospital over 2 months. The result of those two car wrecks was I had a broken jaw. My teeth were wired shut. The only way I was able to eat my food was through blended
Wow.
food and sucking my food through a straw, where my I knocked out my front two teeth. And the result of it was the lost left femur, a crushed left knee, a broken ankle, broken toes, which resulted in still having a metal plate in my jaw, still having a metal rod in my thigh, still having a metal plate in my knee, and still having screws in my ankle. But I could have
Wow.
sat with those situations, saying what I still had and what had happened to me, or
Mm,
I could take ownership into my own, turning around of my life. And so the thing for me is, as I said, when I mentioned earlier, that what I was seeing is not what I saw. So therefore, I was not going to sit in that place looking at something that I had not seen. I saw myself doing things in life, and I knew that I wouldn't get those things done sitting there feeling sorry for myself,
wow.
feeling sorry for the scars, the physical scars that I would have for the rest of my life. They had to take skin from one thigh and put it on the other leg. And so having the physical scars at the age of 19, I could have felt sorry for myself and felt like, I have the physical scars. I have a limp because one leg is a little shorter than the other. And I could have, this is my thing. This is what I want to tell the listening audience. I believe in the law of polarity. There's an equal opposite to everything. So wherever you find yourself on the spectrum, you can find the positive in the thing in which you're experiencing. So I looked at what I had left and not what I had lost.
Wow.
I looked
It's
at what
powerful.
I wanted and not what I had. I looked at what I could do and I didn't focus on what I couldn't do. So my advice to a person is to change your focus, which would also change your frame. Because wherever we dwell, as a man thinketh, so is he. It said, as a man thinketh
Mm,
in his heart. So if we think that our situation is so bad, it'll feel bad. And like I used to tell my kids, I said, if you think woke, you'll feel woke. When we think our way in or out of a situation, what we're thinking is what we would tend to attract to ourselves. And so my advice
mm.
to a person that may be going through some things, to may feel like, the weight of the world is on their shoulders, know that there is no battle that you cannot fight. Know that you do not
Wow.
have to face it by yourself. And know that whatever you desire, it is possible. I think when an individual know that an outcome that they desire is still possible, it gives them their fight back. It gives them their drive back. It gives them that determination to say, where I am is not where I'm always going to be.
Wow. Um, oh my word. This is very powerful, especially about the mindset. Um, and but you said something, and I have been thinking about this thought for a couple days. You said that um, well, 10% of life is what happens to you, 90% of life is how you respond. And that, basically life is also ultimately the decisions you make. However, you have situations of injustice and things that have happened to people, and they don't quite know how to bounce back. And some people are still dealing with invisible ceilings and injustice. Um, even in the society, there's a lot. I'm not going to go into detail,
Right.
but I could write a dissertation on the injustices of people, in particular, minority groups or people of color, people of ethnic descents. Um, and so sometimes it's hard for particular people to feel like there's any hope because they continue to do their best just to meet a barrier, do their best just to be brought down, do their best just to be injured or insulted or stolen from, or like there's so much. So what advice do you have to those people? Like, I mean, what if they're like, I'm trying to think positively, I'm trying, but I just don't see any hope in this, I just don't know, like, what do they do?
What do they do? And this is not to be, I'm a believer. And so I have to tell what I do. Being a believer and believing in Christ, faith is, faith, we have to, yeah, I walk by faith. Faith is believing in those things that I do not see. Faith is those things, what I hear. It is the substance of evidence. It is faith is the substance of things not seen and the evidence of things that is not seen. So we have to, it's hard. It's hard coming out of a situation where you feel like you have no control. And there are injustices, there are things that will happen, especially with minorities and women. And that's why I mentioned, in manufacturing. But you have to have courage to stand up for yourself. There's a quote that said, you may be pushing me down, but I'm standing up on the inside. We have to have the courage, and it takes courage to stand up for yourself. It takes
Right.
courage for you to believe in
Wow.
yourself. And so sometimes we're in a situation and we feel like I don't have nobody. I don't have nobody that is supporting me. I don't have anybody that believe in me. I don't even have anybody that I can lean on. But
Right.
we have to find the strength some way, somewhere,
Mm,
somehow within to figure that I may not know how and I may not know when, but I'm going to hold on to one day my change is going to come. And so my advice to a person that feel like I've tried everything that I know, I've done all that I can do. And there's a song that said, when you've done all you can, just stand. We have to just stand. And there's another quote, and I'm not going to quote it verbatimly, word for
yeah.
word.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right.
But there's a quote that says, when we've done all that we can, that we will, and this is a part of still the song, that we just stand. But at the same time, we have to be active participants in our own rescue. And we can't
Oh,
be
wow.
passive with an expectation that somebody is going to come and save us, because sometimes the people that we thought was going to save us, they don't come. The people that we expected to come to our rescue, they don't come. The people that we were there for may not be there for us. But my advice would be there for you like you be there for everybody else. Be there like you have been there for that best friend or for that family member or for that
Oh,
person,
my
or
word.
even for that spouse or whoever. Be there for yourself like you've been there for others. And one thing that I like to say, a lot of times we say Black Lives Matter, but I want to say your life matter. As a
Yeah.
mother, your life matter. As a woman, your
Yeah.
life matters. As a caregiver, as a sister, as a friend, as a guy, as a girl, it doesn't matter who you are and where you are. It doesn't matter what decision that you have made, but your life matter. And when
Wow.
you come to the realization, despite any decision that you've ever made, that your life still matter. People may
Mm.
not think so, but your
Oh, my
life is
word.
your life still matters. Your life matters.
Wow. Yeah. And Natalie Dixon said yes. I mean, I'm blown away, especially when you said your life still matters. So some of us out here, we've made mistakes, we've made wrong turns, and we've been through situations where um, people have written you off, or you're just rejected, or you're just a recluse because or to a particular group of people because you didn't quite meet their standard of perfection,
Yes.
which I'm waiting to see anyone who has really met that standard. But these people, there are certain people, especially in certain circles you run into, that um, they will treat you like that scarlet letter. You're done. You're done. We don't want anything you have. We don't care how much passion. We don't care how much money you have. We don't care how much intelligence. We don't care your motive. You messed up. You messed up that once. You're done. You're
Right.
done. It's over. And so with those people, they might be sitting in a seat of discouragement because all around them is reminders of the wrong choices they made, reminders of people that judge them,
Right.
people that instead of seeing the good that they're bringing, all they can see is what they did 10 years ago. They can't see who the people are today. And it's a very toxic situation. Many people deal with it, especially, different organizations, different places people go, even fellowship, businesses, whatever, events. Um, People deal with this. There's a huge seat of judgment. And I think that's another reason why people are paralyzed. And I think also because people are not given another opportunity. And so sometimes I want to ask this question now. Sometimes these people, they might have hope, but they don't know where the opportunity is going to come from. They don't necessarily know how to create their own opportunity. So what do you say to these people?
Right. That's a great question. And I think the first thing that I would say is sometimes we have to change our environment. If we had to do if we had to go with nothing but what we have on, we have to change our environment because the people that we are around, I like to say that I don't believe in 50 shades of gray. It's either black or white. People are either for you or against you. So we have to change our environment. And sometimes and this is what a lot of us do because it's just human nature to be accepted. It is
Yeah.
human nature to be
Wow.
accepted. So sometimes what we have to do, first of all, we have to look at the people that are judging us because sometimes we have people critiquing us that is not even qualified. That's one.
Eh,
They're not
right.
qualified to critique
Not
us.
qualified to be your judge.
If
Only
we're going to truly be free, we
only
have to
God.
say, only God. We have to say that in our mind, in order for us to be free, if I don't have nothing to lose, nothing to gain, nothing to prove, and nothing to hide, I will be free of people's opinion of me and what they
Oh,
think of me. So when we want to be
ah,
accepted, if when we want to be accepted, you have to constantly remind yourself, I don't have nothing to lose and I don't have nothing to gain and I don't have anything to prove and I don't have nothing to hide. So the things that you're going to bring in the forefront about my mistakes, see, a lot of times people, they feel the way they feel because they're afraid that somebody going to tell what they said or what they did and all these different things. But we have to disconnect ourselves from other people's opinion.
I'm gonna put this plug out here. I don't really I know this is a show. We're talking about business. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about religion as well. Because what I find is that we fellowship together with people. I've been in a lot of different scenarios. I fellowshiped at conferences and churches or wherever. And I find that this is an area of focus for the people of God. I think the people of God mean well, but I think there's a situation of an area of focus because what happens is certain people experience the presence of God, right? And then they feel like they're Jesus. So they judge harsh and there's no mercy, there's no forgiveness, or they'll say they forgive you, and then you're seated, you're like in timeout. You can't partake in anything, you can't do anything. You're not uplifted. They don't ever check on you to see how you or your family are doing. They're not gonna cut your check for nothing. Don't even ask for that. Like so it's weird because it's like, oh, we love you, you're great, but then the actions, there's nothing. And I think so many people are hurting, even in religious circles, and we don't talk about it. It's very taboo to talk about anything because oh, you don't want to, and I understand that, but where are we gonna start having change? And you said that you're a believer, and there are many believers that are hurting with wounds and scars from their church families, right? And from their
Right.
brethren and their sister over the years that judged them because of mistakes that they made, or they had an addiction to something and they confided in somebody who went and gossiped about them when they were supposed to be safe. There are a lot of issues in the house of God. They were hurt by leadership. Pastors hurt them. Pastors' wives. I'm putting this out here because I think so many of us sit on these issues and we're hurting, or there's bitterness, there's unforgiveness, there are scars and wounds. People are getting away with this stuff. And I think that on this platform, you said you're a believer. I feel like even believers need to hear this. How do we move forward and stop doing this to each other to where we can actually love one another and really display the fruits of God? Listen, the fruits of the spirit is not, oh, I was just born and raised in this, or oh, I'm so holy and so great, look at me. That's nothing.
Right.
There are
But
people hurting.
right.
Can somebody from the street, can somebody from the LGBTQ community who loves God, can they come and fellowship with you? Can someone that maybe they were a drug dealer? Could someone that, they struggle with some kind of addiction or whatever, like, can they come to you and be fed and be loved? And I mean, isn't that the name of Christianity? That people come to Christ to be helped and to be served. And so I don't know. I would love for you to speak on, what you talked about, because it just kind of, it made me think, like, this human nature of acceptance. How can the church get to a place, not just the church organizations, how can people get to the place where they're accepting all people and there's not all these barriers and these judgments and this underlying gossip and racial issues and all this other stuff? So, what are your suggestions on that?
So one, we have to stop making dysfunctional, normalizing dysfunction. It
Mm,
doesn't matter if it's in the house of God or if it's on the outside of the house of God. We have to call it out. And a lot of times we feel like because it's in the church, but the church people are just people. And until we get to the realization that it's not about a clique, a group, or a social status within the church, because one, people are hurting outside of the church. And the last place that we need to go is in the house of prayer to be
it hurt.
judged. Because
My
in the
God.
end, none of the people that are judging, they don't have a heaven or hell to put us in. And that there's a scripture that says that there are many sheep that he have that are not of this fold, but they all have to come through him. He said he's the truth, the way, and the life, that no man, it doesn't matter who we are, there's only one way.
Wow.
That is our endeavor, is one way. And see, a lot of times we misquote the Bible, we requote the Bible, we rewrite the Bible, but it says that, not a dot or a tittle, that the heavens and the
Huh.
earth may pass away, but the word of
Right.
God does not
It will
change.
not.
So when you think about what he said and not what we go by what the world say, but we should be more equipped with what the word say. And so it has to be called out, because if you're not in the clique and if you're not in the group, you're not accepted. You can't have the title. You can't do the
Right.
thing, but you
You're
have
not the
to
right
get to a
race. You're
point.
not the right
You're not
right.
this and that. But
Right.
those
That's not
type
the
of
right
things, you
name.
shouldn't want to be a part of it anyway. So you're not being excluded from nothing,
Right.
because it's not right. And then
It's not
once
right.
we figure out what the Bible is really about, and I know we can go from Genesis to Revelation, but once we think about, what it is really about, it's about a kingdom. And in the kingdom there is no competition. In the kingdom there is
Right.
no judgment, because there is enough for everybody. But it is about a kingdom and a royal family. It's about a foreign land that's called earth. A lot of us, we say when we get to heaven, but see, we got to bring heaven down here on earth, because when you get to heaven, you ain't gonna have anything to worry about. So we got to be at a point where we're able to love our sisters and brothers despite of who they are, what they've done, what decisions that they have made, because it is not for us to be the judge. And I'm telling you, if we will be a great example and show compassion and have
Yeah.
empathy with people. I like to say we remember when, because a lot of times the
Huh.
perfect judge is the person that was perfectly doing good at what they did. You may not be doing it today, but you have to remember what you did. And see, we like to, we say they are white lies and I didn't do this and I didn't do that. But if it's not aligning with the word of God, you may not be doing what they're doing. But if you're doing what's not aligned with the word, it makes you know better. It doesn't have a certain kind of sin. It doesn't have, there are so many ways that we can go, but at the same time, we're not the judge.
And I think
We're not
too,
the judge.
this is powerful. And I think too, when you're talking about kingdom, the kingdom is not divided by race, and it's not divided by socio and or economic status. It's not divided by um, just all these different things that we tag
Nothing. It's
onto
not
it.
divided by nothing. It's nothing that we
Nothing.
can imagine or think of. There is no imagination. There
Yeah.
is no invisible line or even a solid line that divides. There is no comparison in
Right.
the kingdom.
So when we stand before the Almighty, it talks about he's no respecter of persons. When we stand before him, he's not going to say, "Oh, you're a pastor, you're a missionary, you're a prophet." No, he's going to say, "What did you do to help people? What did you do with the life I gave you? How did you give me glory?" He's not going to care that you were white or that you're Hispanic or Asian or black. He's not going to care about that. He's going to care about how you loved people, And I think if anything, if we go around in this world thinking that we are better um, or worse because of our skin color, there's a problem. So if I go around thinking that I'm inferior because I'm African American, there's a problem. Because the Lord He never designed for any of us to feel as if we are inferior because the way He chose to create us. And so we choose to believe the lies of people and hold our heads down in shame because of their foolishness. God's going to call us on that too. And then if we go around thinking we're superior because of our race and where we come from or our socioeconomic status, He's going to call us on that too,
He's
because
gonna call
that is
us.
not how He blessed us with what He blessed us with. I mean,
No,
it's so
and he
foolish.
said, yes, and he said that we should not think more highly than of ourselves
Then we ought to.
than we ought to. And so, but we all have, and as you said, he is no respecter of person. So
Yep.
what he done for one, he would do for all. But what stops us from having what he said he would do is our belief. If we believe, then we will receive.
Amen.
The limitation is, and you hit it right on the head, our limitation is we buy into the lie. We have to stop buying into the lie that we're not good enough. We were all created with a purpose and for a purpose. And it may not, I may not be, I'll be a lousy you, but I'm a great me.
Mm,
I am a
like
great me.
that.
And each of us are great in our own rights. He said in Jeremiah 29:11 that he knew the plans that he had for us. He
Right.
knew who we were going to be. He knew the mistakes that we were going
Yep.
to make. He knew the decisions that we were going to make. But he said that when we ask for that forgiveness, that he throws it into the sea of forgetfulness. It is
Yep.
human beings that don't forget. You can do 99 things good and one bad, and they will
And that's
remember the
all
one
they
from
remember.
for the rest of your life. But you
Hmm.
have to get to the point that you're free, that you don't
Yeah.
care what they say, how often they say it, and who they tell it to. And if it's people that is bringing up your past when you didn't know any better, when I mean, over the years you mature and you do things. It says when you learn better, you
You
do
do
better.
better.
And if you have people stuck when you was in school, you need to leave them alone anyway.
Leave them alone anyway.
You need
My
to leave
thing
them
is,
alone anyway.
especially, whether it's, or an organization you represent or a church or whatever, like, especially in the kingdom, I feel people are crippled and people are, they're hurting because they're waiting on a pastor to approve of them, or they're waiting on an evangelist, they're waiting on someone that's spiritual to validate them or to restore them. But what's happening is people are not doing that. People in leadership are not restoring, they're not helping, and they are doing this on purpose. They know what they're doing. That's the scary part. And
It's
the
a scary
Bible says
part.
that if you know to do better and you do it not, to him it is sin. So it's like God is saying, okay, if I send someone to you to help them, to restore them, I don't care who you are, church or not. If I send someone to you to restore them and you have the tools and the resources that they need to become better, to get started or whatever, and you don't do it, to them it is sin. To them, you're wrong. You're in the wrong. And the
They're
thing is,
wrong.
you will reap what you sow. People don't understand. And I think it's a jealousy thing. I think it's
Oh,
insecurity.
absolutely. And that was exactly where I was about to go. It's an intimidation when the enemy sees your gifts. And we know that every good and perfect gifts come from above, but the enemy sees your potential. The enemy see what you have in you. So they will hinder you. And if they see any vulnerability in a
Yeah.
person, they feel like if I just don't give them a title and I don't
Yeah.
acknowledge them, but
Shame on
we
them.
have been affirmed already when he said
Yep.
that, this is my son and I love him in whom I'm well pleased. See, sometimes you have to find scripture that is related to what you're experiencing in life. You have to have them
Mm.
before you need them. So when
Wow.
you read them and you put them you have them in your toolbox, and when you're feeling away, as we like to say today, when you're feeling away, you pull out your toolbox and you said that I am beautifully and wonderfully made, that I
Right.
am above and not beneath. You have to speak over yourself. See, when you
Right.
speak the word over yourself, speak it
Wow.
over yourself, that I am healed. We have to
Yeah.
speak it over ourselves, because see, sometimes You will never hear what you need to hear from people that you think that you're gonna hear it from.
They won't tell
Sometimes
you.
it's parents, sometimes it's friends. Cause see, you have friends. I said, you can do it with a
Mm.
voice check. I like to do the voice check. When you have good news that you share with people and their voice change, that's an indication that they're really not happy for you. Check the voice, and you don't have to always,
People get depressed.
they get
People get
depressed when you tell
depressed.
them, oh, they get
Yes,
depressed when you tell
they
them
get
that something
depressed.
is
They have a
happening. They like
funeral home
what?
because
And because they really they're depressed with your news, but they're more disappointed with themselves. I'm gonna say it again. They're depressed with your news, but they're more disappointed. They start reeling around in their mind saying, I should be farther than where I am, and I should have done this, and I should have had this, and why you and not me.
and that's
I
what this
like to say that
isolation kicks in.
sometimes
Yeah.
people are so jealous and love you so much that they don't love themselves. So you
Yeah.
have to stop dwelling on, we have to stop dwelling on who don't approve us, who don't affirm us. Affirm yourself.
Yeah.
Make your own affirmation and affirm yourself, not to where you're being cocky and envious,
Right.
but that's where I say where you build unshakable confidence. And how do you build that unshakable confidence? Knowing who you are in Christ.
Wow. And the
Knowing who
thing is
you are in
here,
Christ.
she Natalie said here, she said, if we truly believe God had something for us, we wouldn't be jealous of another person. And I want us to talk about that because jealousy is the elephant in the room, even in the house of God.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Absolutely.
that if God has brought people in your life, whether it's in your work or church or business, whatever, and they have attributes that are better than yours, you should not be working intentionally to kill them, destroy them, sabotage them, take from them, rip them off. Like, you should be seeing how, like, why did he bring them? Like, how can they cultivate what I already got going on? Not this, nope, they don't, they're just not what I prefer, or they're the wrong gender, the wrong race, the wrong socioeconomic status, so I don't want anything to do with them, but I'll try to take their ideas and then
Right.
talk them as mine. Like we've got to work on getting past this. And I'm talking about this because I work with all types of leaders, and I see the big elephant in the room.
But I
um
want to, I want to,
yeah.
I want to say something really quick. But because see, the elephant of jealousy, the reason it is in the room because they have a poverty mindset. If they was thinking kingdom and abundance, see, they making it a comparison to think that just because it's in you, but if everything was designed to be the same, that there wouldn't be a definition of different. We have different attributes. We bring something different to the table. But what we bring to the table, it complements each other. It's not a competition, it's a
It's
complement.
a
We'll
compliment.
be able to work together. We say the cliches that we're better together, but when are we going to really be better together if we don't work together? And they say that women cannot work together, come together, but when you know who you are, what you doing doesn't make a difference. I can push you up. I can be your cheerleader, but that doesn't impact what I bring to the table
Right.
because I do not have a comparison to what you have because can't nobody do it like Dr. O. You
Come
may
on
do
now.
something similar. I used to say it all the time. I'm the best O that I know. That wasn't being arrogant. There may be some other O's, but you have to put your name out there to say, that when I have a sister that's doing a thing, I can support that thing because I do not have a lack mindset. I don't have a poverty mindset, that it is out there. And this is what should encourage the listening audience as well as ourselves. My thing is, if they're doing it, then it's possible. If they are doing it, it is possible. We got to have a possible mindset because,
Wow.
see, sometimes it may not be your time today. But if you
Yeah.
can never be supportive of another person,
Come
and
on
we're
now.
saying leaders, because see, leaders that don't have followers are just men that's taking walks. You have to have somebody that's following behind you. You have to have things where they are demonstrating your leadership, where we are growing and where we are going higher and where we are leveling up. If we're staying in the same level and we just have people that's intimidated by our authority, our title, and our position, and the only reason we're following because we didn't put a bluff over them to feel like, that in order for me to keep my job, in order for me to keep my pay, in order for me to do this, in order for me to do that, you have to stand up and say, If this person is not taking me to the next level, I gotta change my environment. Stop being intimidated by changing your environment, because I'm gonna tell you, I don't know what the weather is where you are. And I know in the beginning you said you're expecting some rain, but I guarantee you it's raining somewhere. The sun is shining somewhere. It's
Yeah.
cold somewhere. It's super hot somewhere. So it may not be where you are, but you may have to move. Cars are moving every day. Vans are moving. Trains are moving. Planes
Mm.
are moving. Bikes are moving.
Wow.
You got to get to a position to say, if I leave with nothing but what I have, I'm gonna start somewhere. If I don't start, but from and Dr. Martin Luther King said, you don't have to know, you don't have to see the whole staircase. You just take the very next step. If we take the very next step, see, a lot of times we're waiting on God to do something for us,
Wow.
but He's waiting on us to do something. We take the first step. He may boost us up 3 steps or something. But I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. I want the listening artists stop praying about the answer prayer. And I just felt that in my spirit. We pray about the prayer. He's giving you the direction. You know it's him. Don't keep asking him, is it him? You know the thing that he told you to do. And now you're asking him, is it him? And you want a sign. The sign
Wow.
will be the movement in which he told you to
Oh
do.
my word.
Take the next step, the very next step. So I don't know what it is that you need to do. I don't know if it's a class you need to enroll in. I don't know if it's a phone call you need to make. I don't know if it's forgiveness you need to ask for. I don't know if you need to forgive somebody. But whatever it is that you need to do, take the next step. And all steps don't cost. We got to put our pride to the side. If we're ever going to go to the next level, if we're going to stop feeling like we're being wronged against, we got to stop wronging people. It says that if you want to draw friends, you got to show yourself friendly. We got to get to a point that we can start off by what we do, by what we do. Change the frame, change your focus,
Mm.
and it'll change your whole entire life.
I love this. This is fantastic. And I think that was the encouragement people needed to hear is sometimes you've got to move yourself and you've got to start yourself. And then don't be discouraged. I know for me, when I first started this show, um, I was like, why do I need to do this? But I know it was a part of God's will for me. Um, and I'm thankful because I'm able to bring people like yourself on the show and to hear the great things that are happening across this nation and internationally.
Yes.
Um, but I'm going to tell you, I was afraid. I was afraid. I had people that tried to shut it down, had people that tried to literally take the same idea and run with it, but I had to keep moving forward. And so I want to also say to people, just move forward, and but to those that are discouraged, that are sitting, they feel like they've been sat on, they've been stepped on, and they want to move forward and they don't know how to take, what they have to move forward. Their dream has been in the ashes. What advice would you have for them? Because I know you're also a counselor, like you do so much. So what advice would you have for them, Dr. Onika, as to how they could just start over?
You can start over. So another Joyce Meyer, she said, do it afraid. So
Do it
sometimes
afraid.
we have to do things afraid. Sometimes we have to do things not knowing what to do. Now, that may sound like it's rhetorical, it may sound a little crazy too, but sometimes you have to say that, I don't even know what to do. Sometimes we go into spaces and we try to figure out all the steps before, and I like to call it procrastinating planning. We planning and planning and planning and planning and planning and planning, and we never get to doing. So sometimes we have to learn along the way. Learn along the way. So the advice that you can read, you can look up. There's all type
Wow.
of things on YouTube. There's this. The show that you're on right now. You can listen at shows like this. You can read books. There are free books. You can do Audible. You can go to the library. The libraries are still open. If you can't afford to buy books, you can go and rent books. We have to start back with the basics. See, a lot of times we want to go from 0 to 100, but you have to start with zero and go from 0 to 1. So even like when you said, you was afraid of the show, people want to shut the show down. Sometimes this is where I do business. I don't care if one person show up. I'm gonna show up like it's 1,000. See, a lot of times we
Mm.
get discouraged because it's not a big crowd and we don't have a big following. It's not about your likes and your click, but if you can make a difference in
Mm.
one person life at a time. The word said if there was is there if there was 90 and 9 sheep and one ran away, would you not go after the one? Go after the one. Go after the one. So if there's a thing that you can bring to the table, if there's one piece of advice that you can give to yourself or to somebody else, you do that. If you can't do nothing
Wow.
but give a person a smile, do you know how hard it is to get a smile out of people today?
Right.
If you can just give them a smile, it can make a difference in a person's life. So we
Wow.
have to start where we are until we can get to where we want to go. So don't wait until you have it all together, because I'm going to tell you the perfect time never comes. But when is the best time to ever start
Wow.
anything? The best time to start is right now. Right now. You can, as we're talking here, I like to say, sometimes we take notes, but I need you to take note and make note. And the notes that you made, you have to make a commitment and say, this is the action I'm going to take with this nugget that I grab. I don't know the next step. I don't know who I need to call or where I need to go and what I need to do, but I'm going to start somewhere. I'm going to start right here. Start with
Wow.
these notes that I took tonight. I'm going to start here.
Wow. That's powerful. So if you guys are joining, I am here with CEO of Action Speaks Volumes, counselor, philanthropist, entrepreneur, author, motivational speaker, so much. Dr. Onika Shirley, who is dropping mad nuggets on the show tonight, um, just giving us some clarity, giving us some healing for our souls. And I want to encourage everybody out there that you've been discouraged, you've been stepped on, that because you woke up this morning, life's not over. So, like Dr. Anika said, show up like there's 1,000 people waiting for you, ready for you, ready to accept you. Out of all these people in the world, there are millions that would accept you. You're just looking at the wrong audience. Sometimes we do that. We get jilted and jolted, and we get out of alignment, like you were speaking about, and we're focused on the wrong audience. And so any advice that you have, Dr. Anika, as to how people can shift their focus? And if they're like, okay, I've moved now what? So what
That's a
about
great question. So one piece of advice that I would give to you, know that no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter what you look like and what you know, there will be people that's not going to like you regardless. You have to accept that. You have to accept that there are people that are not going to like you, and it's okay. It is okay. And you have to know that when you make that first step, God always seems to send the people in which you need.
mm,
But people can't help people
wow.
that don't help themselves. I said about that one and that 99, and I'm going to use it in a different frame, because 99 people can think that you can't, and one person, which is you, can think that you can and you will. But you can have 99 people on your side saying you can do it, you can do it, and one person, you, think that you can't, despite what they say, how they encourage you, how they boost you up, how they send you affirmations, text, scriptures, and anything else. You will sit with yourself and do nothing.
Wow.
You have to start by making a decision that where you are is not where you want to be. And the only way life is going to change for you. I got another saying. I have a lot of the sayings. I said,
This
I
is
said, I'm the
powerful.
queen bee. I said, I'm the queen bee. And when the bee ain't buzzing, ain't no honey. I mean, money, ain't no money being made. So I can't sit in my sorrow feeling sorry for myself. I got to
Wow.
get up and get it. And progress gives me energy. So I encourage
Mm,
you to do something that you know
wow.
you can do. So if it's, in the military, they say if you just make your bed, if your day was just bad and you come back in to a made up bed, you have a thing that you have accomplished. So there's another saying that how do you brush your teeth? You start with one tooth at a time. There's another saying, how you write the book, you start with one sentence.
That's
Don't
right.
try to do everything. You take, and in manufacturing, we say, how do you eat the elephant? You eat it one bite at a time. So what you do, you take the big things and you break them down into sizable, small little chunks that you can manage. Don't look to the left. Don't look to the right. Do not compare yourself to where somebody is and what somebody else is doing, but you stand on what you can bring. You start with what you have. You start with what you have,
Wow.
and what you have will begin to get bigger. You can look back over your life and say, I've come a
True.
mighty long ways. I've come
Yes.
a mighty long ways. And you know, there's another saying that says, is the glass half full or is half empty? But it's how you
Right.
look at it. It's how you look at your life. It's how you
Right.
look at your situation. It's how you look at your abilities. I need you to have the confidence in yourself, despite if anybody else believe in you. Say, I believe in me.
That's
I
right.
believe in
Wow.
me.
That's so powerful. And especially to the believers that feel paralyzed because they're in a situation where they almost have to ask permission to be a Christian. Um, so, and they're sitting on ministries. People are sitting on stuff. And so I think that this is very wholesome and healing and great because it's liberating people. I think there's a great saying that's been going around: stop asking for a seat at the table, go make your own table, go make your own, platform. And I think many of us are starting to get that, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that you being out here is exactly what we need, with you being the CEO of Action Speaks Volumes, and congratulations for that
Thank
wonderful accomplishment. And I want you to kind of talk to us about, what other events you might have coming up, and how can we also, just keep in touch with you, people that want, your advice and your services.
Thank you so much. And I want to add this. I want to say, we need APs and not PAs. And what I mean about APs, we need accountability partners, but we don't need PAs. We don't need permission. We do not need permission, and we do not need approval for
Mm.
us to do ministry. You make your table, and ministry is in so many different forms. You don't have to be in the four walls in order to do what God created you to do, because your gifts will make room for you. So the next one of the events that I have, I'm speaking on the Comeback Summit with Shay Brown, and I'm talking about the power of simplicity. Stop making things complex, that you can take simple things and get a
That's
lot of
powerful.
things done. And so, by way, I'm on social media. Instagram as Action Speaks Volume. I'm on Facebook as Onika Shirley. And just want to recap a little bit, even about the Action Speaks, the number one Action Speaks Volume Summit that was earlier this month, the 12th through the 14th. I talked about the 3 Ds that make a difference in life and business, that you have to have discipline, you must be determined, but you cannot forget about the distractions. So, some of the things that we've shared here on
Mm.
tonight is a distraction of you walking in purpose. It is a distraction of
Mm.
you doing your ministry. It is a distraction for you to write the book and for you to do the things in which you were called and created to do. Jealousy is a distraction. Envy is a distraction. Backbiting, that's a distraction. So when you're derailed with distractions to keep you from being great in your own right and doing the things that God has called and created you to do, you can't be distracted by the distractions. Okay. We have to get on and say that I have to have this discipline, and I'm determined. I am determined to unwrap the gifts in which God has given to me. This is the gift that you got to re-gift, not the gifts that somebody gave you that you really didn't like, but the gift that
Mhm.
God has given you, re-gift it, re-gift it. Go out all over the
Wow.
world. And Dr. Cheryl Wood, she said that somebody is waiting on what you're sitting on. This is your
Oh,
time.
wow.
Get out of your seat, because somebody is waiting on what you're sitting on.
Wow, you are all in the Lord right now, prophetic. Thank you so much for dropping those gifts and those nuggets of wisdom. And y'all, I just want to honor and celebrate Dr. Anika Shirley. And please reach her again on Facebook at Action Speaks Volumes, correct? On
On
Facebook?
Facebook, Onika Shirley. Onika
Okay.
Shirley on Facebook.
Okay, so Onika Shirley on Facebook. Is it on
Mhm.
all social media platforms as well?
On Instagram, Action Speaks Volume.
Okay. Okay. And is there, do you have any other platforms as well, or
I'm
those
on
good?
Twitter, but those two, Facebook and Instagram. Facebook is really my jam.
Wow. Okay, well, you guys heard it, and I'm just thankful. I'm thankful for you, Dr. Anika Shirley, your energy. And before we wrap up, I want you to talk about a recap of the Action Speaks Volumes Summit. And I know you just mentioned what you spoke out, but talk about just the overall impact of this phenomenal event and how everything went.
Wow, wow. Yeah, the number one Action Speaks Volume Summit, it was phenomenal. And it was for everybody. I mean, we had speakers from Namibia, Africa, from Canada, and throughout the United States. And I mean, it was amazing. But the whole point to Action Speaks Volume Summit was to take action. Was to take action. I mean, take action in your business, take action in your ministry,
Yeah.
take action in your marriage, take action in your life, just to take action. And I mean, it was phenomenal because the speakers, they brought it. They brought it from writing books, from being a speaker, from teaching to starting a business. I mean, we had travel agents, we had authors and speakers and radio hosts, podcast hosts. I mean, really, it was just a great mixture of building a seven-figure sales team with Shay Brown. It was just a mixture to tell you and show you what was possible. Because when we don't move, we don't go anywhere. When
Right.
we don't put the car in drive and we still sitting in park, it doesn't matter about the keys being in the ignition. We don't go anywhere. And so the Action Speaks Volume Summit was all about taking the action, taking that action, to
Wow.
encourage you to take the action, the thing that you have put on the back burner, the thing that you have delayed, the thing that you have been denied. We heard Dr. India say how we have been denied, how we're not walking in ministry, how we're not doing the things in which God. I'm gonna tell you one thing: what God starts, it doesn't matter who like it, who don't want to see it. What God started, He will finish,
Yes, he
and
will.
that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. So the number
Yeah.
one Action Speaks Volume Summit was to propel individuals to action, to
Wow.
action. You have to act on your own behalf. Because if you're waiting on somebody to come and get you, you can look at your life already. They ain't came and they not coming.
They're not.
They're not coming.
Mm,
You got to be active in your
this is
own
good.
rescue.
That's powerful. And I'm so thankful that you were able to recap that. This has been so refreshing to me personally as well, just having you on the show. Just a lot of confirmation and a lot of wholeness. And, I thank you so much for sharing your jewels with us. And so I know you said that we can reach you on Facebook as Dr. Anika Shirley, also Action Speaks Volumes on Instagram. And do you have an email as well that we can also reach
Yes.
that?
Yes. So email is actionspeaksvolume@gmail.com. Actionspeaksvolume@gmail.com. And we'd like to also tell you about the Action Speaks Volume Academy. Yes, that was
Oh,
one of the
nice.
things that was introduced during the summit. And you can check that out at
Oh, wow.
www.actionspeaksvolumeacademy. It's $129 a month, where you have the opportunity to work with yours truly. We have Q&A, you have a community, but it's $129. It's worth it. And I'm telling you, and this is what and I know we're closing, but the spirit is doing this thing. But I want you, Dr. India, and the listening audience, to don't question it. Don't question the gifts in which you have, despite the intimidation of those that you have looked to for guidance. Not that you needed their approval or their permission, because you know you have what you have. And the credentials that you have, and it's not about credentials, but it has been questioned in the back of your mind that the credentials that you have should be enough. It's not enough for them. It's always been enough. You don't have to get another certificate.
Mm.
You don't have to take another course or another class. You already have enough. You don't have to prove yourself by writing another book, because you have already been approved from him on high. And stop asking the question, because I hear the question, why is it they just don't see me? They see you. And they see you more than you realize that they see you. And I'm trying not to cry. They see
Me
you
too.
more than you realize they see you. But sometimes we want to be seen in places that's not our place. And I hear the Lord say that the reason you're not seeing what you're looking for is because where you are is not him.
Hmm.
It's not him. And
Wow.
so we have to stop trying to be seen by the wrong people. And I'll leave it there. God bless you.
Well, we will continue this conversation, but thank you for that confirmation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Um, and to those that are holding your souls tight right now and thinking, am I good enough? Yes, you are good enough. And I'm so thankful you said that about not having to take another class or write another book, because
Thank
I'm
you.
so guilty of both of those. But to all of you guys, I want you to know that Dr. Nika is out here. She cares. Invest in her course, please. It is going to be a blessing to you. And she's going to liberate you and empower you, and you're going to come out as an overcomer so much better than what you are now. And follow her on social media, and just remember to support her. If you want to give to her, contribute financially, fundraisers, whatever, she's available for that too. So just reach out. Again, the link to the academy is www.actionspeaksvolumesacademy.com. I'm so proud of you for getting that launched. It's amazing. Only $129 a month. That is amazing. And so, with that said, guys, we're going to wrap up the show. But thank you so much, Dr. Onika, for the time and for these nuggets of wisdom. Guys, we're going to wrap this up, but this will definitely be available. So please continue to tune in to SoulNet, WKDH Radio, and to Precious Swain's, Fire, Fire Stick at the Swain Girl Media channel as well. So we are so elated to have this wonderful show. I'm definitely going to be rehashing this, listening to this again myself, because it was a blessing to me. So thank you, Dr. Ernika, for your time. And you guys have a blessed night. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Amen.